What if I told you the cars you see every single day aren't just cars? They're hiding wild secrets that almost no one talks about. Some of them were used in secret wartime propaganda, and others became the favorite rides of world leaders. Because today, we're counting down the 11 most sold cars of all time, and you're about to hear the stories car companies don't want you to know. From hidden political connections to shocking celebrity drivers to pop culture moments that changed everything. And trust me, once you hear this, you'll never look at a simple traffic jam the same way again. And wait until you see the car that secretly became the ride of choice for kings, presidents, and prime ministers. They didn't pick it for style or even for speed. So why did they choose it? The truth will make you look at luxury cars in a totally different way. Oh, and just when you think you know what the number one car is, think again. Because the top spot on this list will completely flip the way you look at cars stuck in traffic. You've seen it a million times, but you've never seen it like this. The Chevrolet Impala isn't the kind of car that usually ends up in black and white photos on the walls of classic diners, unless it's showing up in the parking lot out front. The name Impala itself became a sort of shorthand for American full-size sedans. If you want to know what millions of people imagined when they thought family car from the late 1950s all the way through the 2000s, it was probably something shaped like this. Back in 1958, when Elvis still topped the charts and gas cost a quarter, Chevrolet launched the Impala as the flashiest trim level of their Bel Air line, aiming to outshine the competition with its iconic triple taillights and low-slung, wide body. GM designers wanted to make a car that could look buttoned up for a drive to church, but also ready to cruise on Friday night. By the early 60s, the Impala was cruising past sales records. The 1965 model alone set an all-time yearly sales record for a single model. That stood for decades, over 1 million cars in 1 year. Part of what made the Impala stick was its ability to change in step with the times. When the world wanted muscle, Chevy dropped in big block V8s and super sport badges. When families demanded more comfort and space, the Impala stretched out and soaked up highway miles on road trips, quietly building its legend. Controversy? The Impala mostly sidestepped major drama, but the 1970s hit hard, with stricter emissions rules and rising gas prices. Suddenly, nobody wanted hulking sedans with thirsty V8s. Sales trailed off, and for a while, even the Impala's future looked wobbly. The big car era was ending, and just about everyone assumed the Impala would ride off into the sunset. Chevy pulled a fast one, though. In the 1990s, the name was revived as a four-door that found new life in police fleets and rental lots. That's another twist. The Impala spent years as a favorite among highway patrol officers, thanks in part to its dependability and room for all the gear cops could cram in the trunk. Pop culture? You'll spot Impalas everywhere if you start looking. Music videos, rap lyrics, even TV detectives chasing down the bad guys. The most famous, the '64 Impala, which became a legend in hip-hop and low-rider culture from LA to Houston. Unlike cars tied to one famous face, the Impala is more of a neighborhood icon, rolling through both block parties and family reunions. And who drove them? Everyone. From Elvis Presley to everyday Americans, with politicians and celebrities rarely making a fuss about it. Let's talk about the Ford Model T, a car so famous, its nickname, the Tin Lizzie, ended up in newspapers, cartoons, and kids' jokes alike. When Henry Ford launched the Model T in 1908, cars were still considered a luxury for the rich or the very determined. His goal wasn't just to sell more cars, it was to make a car for everyone. The plan worked a little too well. Over 16.5 million rolled off the line between 1908 and 1927. And here's where things get interesting. The Model T didn't just give Americans their first taste of the open road. It changed how everything was made, including cars, toys, and even candy bars. The Model T was put together on Ford's brand new moving assembly line, which slashed build time from 12 hours to 90 minutes. That meant prices dropped every year. And suddenly the milkman, the farmer, and even the guy running the corner store could own a car. Ford himself became a household name across the world. And in much of rural America, folks considered the Model T a lifeline. Need to take a sick neighbor to the doctor or pick up supplies from the next town over? The Model T was the go-to. with a crank start and a reputation for running forever on rough roads. You were almost guaranteed to see at least a few every time you looked out the window, assuming you could see past the dust cloud it kicked up on dirt roads. Of course, it wouldn't be a legend without a little controversy. Ford faced pushback for his strict factory rules. He didn't allow unions, and his $5 day policy, famous for doubling workers' wages, came with pages of fine print about workers' personal lives. Some critics called the Model T the machine that crushed the craftsman, worried that assembly lines turned skilled work into mindless labor. Others claimed the car dominated so thoroughly that American roads, gas stations, and even traffic laws had to be redesigned around it. The Model T never needed celebrity hype to draw attention, but political figures couldn't resist weighing in. U.S. President Woodrow Wilson rode in a Model T on campaign tours, and even Soviet leaders studied Ford's factories as they planned their own industrializing push. The car didn't dodge pop culture either. Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times poked fun at the assembly line that created it. It's almost impossible to find a corner of automotive history where the Tin Lizzie didn't leave tire tracks. And it all started with the simple idea that everyone, not just the elite, deserved a set of wheels. What if I told you the most game-changing family car of the past 25 years wasn't some luxury SUV or show-off ride? It was a quiet Honda that rolled onto the scene in the mid-90s and flipped the family car world upside down. Meet the Honda CR-V. It didn't storm in with fireworks or fancy commercials. No celebs, no glitz. It just appeared. Then suddenly, family road trips, grocery runs, and weekend adventures would never be the same again. Back then, crossover wasn't even a buzzword. SUVs were big, loud, and drank gas like crazy. But Honda had another vision. A car taller than a sedan, easy to drive, and roomy enough for everyone. Something new was coming. From day one, families noticed. They wanted an SUV without the giant gas bill. Tired of squeezing into sedans and hauling gear in minivans, they needed a smarter choice. Honda listened and delivered. The CR-V was simple, spacious, reliable, and stress-free. No flash, no fuss, just dependable design that made life easier. But what came next? That's where it got interesting. Fast forward to now, more than 16 million CR-Vs sold worldwide. It didn't need to be loud to win. It just had to work. While others chased trends, the CR-V built trust. You won't find it in movie chases or music videos, but take a drive through any neighborhood and you'll spot one in nearly every driveway. It became the family favorite by doing one thing better than anyone else: showing up. But even legends faced doubt. Not everyone was sold at first. Some said it wasn't tough enough. Others questioned safety until Honda packed it with airbags and rock-solid crash protection. Later, skeptics doubted the hybrids. Could they really last as long? No scandals, but plenty of chatter. Critics called it too plain. But while they debated, families kept buying. The CR-V didn't need to fight back. It just kept proving itself, mile after mile. Still, one question remained. How does a car this simple become a global icon? Easy, reliability. Thousands of CR-Vs have passed 200,000 miles, hauling families for decades. No drama, no breakdowns, just quiet domination, one driveway at a time. And if you think that's impressive, wait until you see the next car on this list. It's smaller, simpler, and secretly just as legendary. Stick around, because the story's about to take an unexpected turn. What if I told you the Honda Accord almost never existed? In the mid-1970s, Honda was testing ideas that could have gone anywhere, from total flop to surprise hit. When the Accord finally launched in 1976, it wasn't even a sedan yet. It was a simple hatchback, compact, practical, and laser-focused on one goal: give drivers a reliable car without breaking the bank. Fuel prices were rising. People were searching for something smaller and more efficient, and Honda delivered. Nobody expected this modest little car to completely change the American sedan market. The Honda Accord is the car that quietly redefined what a normal sedan could be. When it landed in 1976, nobody expected this compact hatchback to shake up the American auto market. Fuel prices were up, buyers wanted something practical, and Honda delivered a car that was reliable, efficient, and affordable. No one guessed it would one day outsell the Detroit Giants on their own turf. The Accord's real breakthrough came in 1989, when it became the first vehicle from an import brand to top the US sales charts. That moment didn't just put Honda on the map, it signaled a permanent shift in what American drivers expected from their cars. Suddenly, reliability and value mattered more than size or horsepower. The Accord was right there, evolving with every new generation, adapting to changing tastes and tech without losing its reputation for dependability. Honda never let the Accord sit still. It started as a hatchback, then became a sedan, a coupe, and even a hybrid. Long before hybrids were a household word, each redesign brought tweaks to size, style, and features. Some fans grumbled about the Accord getting bigger or more conservative, but the car's core strengths, durability, efficiency, and comfort kept it at the top of shopping lists. The Accord was never about flashy looks or headline-grabbing stunts. It was about getting you to work, hauling the family, and racking up miles without a fuss. You didn't see celebrities or politicians hyping the Accord. Instead, it showed up everywhere regular life happened. In sitcom driveways, city streets, and suburban parking lots. Its low-key presence became its own kind of status symbol. People didn't buy Accords to impress. They bought them to avoid headaches. The numbers back it up. Around 17 million sold since launch, with millions still on the road today. The Accord even picked up awards along the way, like the Motor Trend's Car of the Year in 2007, proving that quiet consistency can still get noticed. Of course, the Accord faced its share of setbacks. Airbag recalls, occasional complaints about bland styling, and the constant pressure from new competitors. But every time the critics circled, buyers kept coming back. That's the Accord's real trick. It survived by adapting just enough, never chasing trends, but never falling behind. For a car that rarely makes headlines, it's managed to outlast plenty of flashier rivals. So what happens when a car leans even harder into reliability, dialing down excitement to become the ultimate background player? The next car on this list is mocked for being almost invisible, yet it quietly turned boring into a winning formula. The Ford Escort might be the most quietly influential car on this list. On the surface, it looks like any ordinary compact from the 70s or 80s. But the Escort is defined by its two identities: the practical, affordable family hatchback that filled European driveways, and the unexpected rally hero that dominated dirt and gravel tracks across the continent. Introduced in the UK in 1967, the Escort quickly became the go-to car for anyone looking for reliability and value. It was straightforward, tough, and offered just enough style to keep things interesting. Families across Europe trusted it for school runs, weekend trips, and daily commutes. For young drivers in the UK, the Escort was almost a rite of passage, affordable, easy to drive, and a symbol of newfound independence. It wasn't flashy, but it was always there, ready to get the job done. But the Escort had another side. While most saw it as the ultimate economy car, Ford engineers saw untapped potential. They took the humble hatchback and transformed it into a rally machine. The Escort's strong chassis and responsive handling made it a favorite on the rally circuit. Drivers like Ari Vatanen and Colin McRae turned it into a motorsport icon, racking up wins and giving the RS 2000 badge cult status among enthusiasts. The same car that handled the school run on Friday could be seen tearing up a rally stage on Sunday, earning respect from both everyday drivers and racing fans. This dual legacy helped the Escort reach over 20 million units sold worldwide. In Europe, its reputation for dependability and its rally pedigree made it a fixture on the roads and in the motorsports scene. But when Ford brought the Escort to the US in the early 80s, things didn't go as smoothly. American buyers appreciated its practicality, but critics pointed out quality concerns and said it lacked the driving excitement of its European counterpart. The American Escort never quite matched the acclaim or sales dominance it enjoyed overseas, highlighting how the same nameplate could mean very different things depending on where you drove it. Despite the mixed reviews in the US, the Escort's impact in Europe is hard to overstate. It was the best-selling car in the UK throughout the 1980s, and its continuous evolution kept it relevant through multiple generations. The Escort's engineering was always tailored to meet the demands of its core audience, whether that meant a no-frills family hatchback or a rally-ready performer. The Escort's story is about versatility and finding success in two completely different worlds. It didn't need a celebrity endorsement or a starring role in pop culture. Its legacy is built on being the car that could be whatever drivers needed it to be. Dependable commuter one day, motorsport legend the next. But not every bestseller found success by sticking to a single formula. Some cars had to reinvent themselves, adapt to new markets, and take risks that could have gone either way. That's where things get interesting. The Volkswagen Beetle has one of the most jarring double lives in car history. Its story starts in the 1930s Germany, when Adolf Hitler wanted a people's car to showcase the Nazi regime's promise of progress and unity. The Beetle was engineered as part of a massive propaganda push, a symbol of a modern Germany where every family could own a car, not just the elite. The regime's vision was clear: create a simple, affordable vehicle that anyone could drive, and use it as proof that the government was delivering for its people. But despite the big promises, very few Germans actually got their hands on one before the war changed everything. Ferdinand Porsche was given the job of bringing this idea to life. He designed a car that was cheap to build, sturdy enough for rough roads, and practical for families. That's where the Beetle's signature curves, air-cooled rear engine, and minimalist interior came from. The original Beetle wasn't meant to stand out for style. It was meant to be functional and efficient, a rolling advertisement for the regime's goals. But its roots were tangled up in a period of political darkness, and that legacy would follow it for years. After World War II, the Beetle's future looked uncertain. The factory was in ruins, and its reputation was tied to a regime everyone wanted to forget. But instead of disappearing, the Allies restarted production, aiming to get Germany back on its feet. The Beetle shed its propaganda role and became a tool for rebuilding, a car for people who needed reliable, affordable transportation in a battered country. Its simple mechanics and durable design made it easy to repair, and it quickly found its way onto roads far beyond Germany. The real twist came in the 1960s and 70s. The Beetle's oddball shape and reputation for reliability caught the attention of a new crowd: students, artists, and the counterculture generation. It was cheap, easy to fix, and looked nothing like the big, chrome-heavy cars coming out of Detroit. Soon, the Beetle was everywhere, painted with flowers, packed with friends, and rolling into music festivals. It became a symbol of peace, love, and a rejection of mainstream consumerism. The same car that started as a tool of authoritarian propaganda had become a mascot for freedom and individuality. Of course, the Beetle's legacy is still debated. Some point to its origins and argue it should never be celebrated, while others see its transformation as proof that things and symbols can change. Its pop culture presence is undeniable. From Herbie the Love Bug to countless album covers and sitcom cameos, over 21 million Beetles were sold worldwide by the time production ended in 2003, making it one of the best-selling cars ever and cementing its place as a global icon. The Beatles' journey from propaganda project to counterculture legend is a reminder of how a car's meaning can shift with time, circumstance, and the people who drive it. Sometimes a model's impact is about more than just engineering or sales. It's about the risks a company takes and the loyalty it inspires. And in the early 1970s, another automaker would bet everything on a small, unassuming car that would go on to redefine what a compact could do. The Toyota Camry is the car everyone knows, even if they don't notice it. It's the king of reliable boredom, and that's not an insult. It's the reason it's ruled American roads for decades. Since 1997, the Camry has been the best-selling car model in the United States, almost every single year, averaging about 399,000 units sold annually. That kind of consistency isn't luck. It's what happens when a car delivers exactly what people want: dependability, comfort, and the kind of low-key confidence that makes you forget about car trouble entirely. The Camry's approach has always been about steady evolution. No wild redesigns, no chasing trends, just small, thoughtful updates each year. Toyota focused on refining the basics, a little more room, a bit better fuel efficiency, and features that made daily life easier. The Camry never tried to be a head-turner, and that became its superpower. Owners didn't have to worry about breakdowns or expensive repairs. Mechanics would joke they rarely saw a Camry in the shop, except for oil changes and new tires. It's the car you buy when you want to get on with your life and not think about your car at all. Reliability isn't just a marketing slogan here. The Camry's track record is backed up by years of top scores from J.D. Power, high owner satisfaction ratings, and a reputation for going hundreds of thousands of miles with only routine care. Its strong resale value means you're not just buying a car, you're making a smart investment. The Camry's safety features and fuel efficiency only add to its appeal, making it the default choice for anyone who just wants a car that works. Of course, the Camry's reputation for being uninspiring is almost as famous as its reliability. Critics have called it bland, forgettable, even compared it to a household appliance. Enthusiasts might yawn at the thought of driving one. But while other cars chased excitement and sometimes flamed out, the Camry stuck to its script. Even as Toyota added hybrid options and more tech, the Camry stayed true to its core mission. Be the car you never have to worry about. You won't find Camrys in music videos or parked outside trendy nightclubs. Instead, they're everywhere else, lining suburban streets, filling up mall parking lots, and quietly appearing in the background of movies and TV shows. It's rumored to be a favorite for unmarked fleet vehicles and low-profile government use, thanks to its ability to blend in and never draw attention. The Camry's dominance proves that being dependable and unremarkable can be a winning formula. But sometimes, a car's story is shaped by controversy and transformation, where its origins are as unforgettable as the car itself. What if the most successful middle child in car history has been sitting in your driveway all along? Meet the Volkswagen Passat, the car that never chased fame, but somehow became a global legend. When Volkswagen launched the Passat back in 1973, they weren't trying to impress movie stars or land product placements. Their goal was simple: build something bigger than the Beetle, but still affordable for families on a budget. No glitz, no red carpets, just practicality. The result? Somewhere between 23 and 30 million sold worldwide. That's superstar territory for a car nobody brags about owning. But here's where it gets interesting. The Passat's greatest trick? Making ordinary extraordinary. It never tried to be cool or edgy. It just worked. It wasn't the cult favorite Golf or the iconic Beetle, but it was the one quietly parked in every driveway, big enough for vacations, comfy enough for the commute, and tough enough to outlast half the cars in its class. While others chased trends, the Passat built its empire through reliability, but it didn't stop there. Each new generation, Volkswagen doubled down on practicality. They made it smoother, roomier, and smarter without breaking the bank. Early models were boxy and honest. Later ones added just enough style to stay modern. The Passat didn't try to dazzle. It just kept delivering. And through badge engineering, VW turned it into a global citizen, tweaking versions for markets around the world. The Passat fit everywhere, but still stayed under the radar. What kept it from becoming a star? While the Beetle stole hearts and the Golf grabbed headlines, the Passat was the dependable one. The family car that never asked for attention, no scandals, no drama, just pure consistency. Yet that quiet success made it a global workhorse. From Europe to Asia to the Americas, it became the go-to ride for families who valued trust over flash. Still, pop culture never noticed. You won't see celebrities cruising in Passats or movie heroes racing them through city streets. But in the real world, they're everywhere. Loaded with groceries, kids, and weekend plans. The Passat became the reliable friend who always shows up year after year. So how did this underdog rack up sales most brands would dream of? Simple. Trust. Generation after generation. The Passat proved that being dependable never goes out of style. But the story's about to take a sharp turn. Because next up comes a Volkswagen with a past full of controversy and twists. The Beatles' backstory, you won't believe where it begins. The Honda Civic wasn't just another new model. It was a lifeline for Honda at a moment when the company's future in the car business was hanging by a thread. In 1972, Honda's car division was on the verge of being shut down so the company could focus on motorcycles, which were actually selling. The Civic's debut was a last-ditch effort. If it didn't succeed, Honda would have quietly stepped away from making cars altogether. Everything was riding on a small, efficient hatchback that looked almost too modest to matter. Skepticism was everywhere when the Civic first rolled out. The market was filled with bigger, flashier cars, and the Civic's simple design didn't turn many heads at first. But then, the oil crisis hit, gas prices shot up, and suddenly, everyone wanted a car that could go farther on less. The Civic's fuel efficiency and practical design made it the right car at the right moment. It became a sensible choice for families and commuters who just needed something that worked, didn't cost a fortune to fill up, and wouldn't leave them stranded. Honda's approach to the Civic was all about steady, careful updates, never straying too far from what worked, but always making sure it stayed relevant. That strategy paid off. The Civic became a fixture on roads everywhere, earning a reputation for reliability and value. It wasn't the car you bought to make a statement. It was the car you bought because you wanted something you could count on, year after year. But the Civic's story isn't just about reliability and practicality. In the 1990s and 2000s, it picked up a reputation no one at Honda could have predicted. The Civic became one of the most popular cars among car thieves in America. Its popularity, ease of repair, and interchangeable parts made it a frequent target. For a car known for being sensible and dependable, that kind of notoriety was a strange twist. At the same time, the Civic was quietly building a second life as the ultimate gateway car for car enthusiasts. Its affordability and simple engineering made it a favorite for tuners and modifiers. Whether it was showing up at local car meets, starring in video games, or getting customized by first-time mechanics, the Civic became a blank canvas for creativity. It wasn't about celebrity endorsements or high-profile ad campaigns. It was about a car that anyone could make their own, whether that meant a reliable daily driver or a tricked-out street machine. Over the decades, more than 30 million Civics have been sold worldwide. It's the car that taught generations how to drive, how to wrench, and how to make something ordinary feel unique. The Civic's secret has always been its ability to evolve, just enough to stay ahead, without losing the qualities that made people trust it in the first place. And while some cars become icons by standing out, others do it by quietly setting the standard for everyone else. Sometimes, the next big thing in the car world isn't the loudest or the flashiest. It's the one that figures out how to be exactly what people need, right when they need it. The Volkswagen Golf didn't just fill the shoes of the Beetle, it redesigned what those shoes looked like. When Volkswagen needed a successor for their legendary rear-engined icon, they went in a completely new direction. The Golf, launched in 1974, brought a front-engine, front-wheel drive layout, a boxy hatchback shape, and a focus on modern practicality. That move wasn't just bold for Volkswagen, it set a blueprint for the small car segment worldwide. The Golf's appeal has always been about balance. It's practical enough for the daily grind, groceries, commuting, family trips, but it never gives up on being engaging to drive. The steering feels precise, the handling is nimble, and even the base models have a sense of solidity that makes them feel like more than just transportation. Early Golfs were compact and efficient, but with enough pep to keep things interesting, especially for drivers used to the Beetle's slower, old-school vibe. Volkswagen didn't stop at just one version. Over 8 generations, the Golf has adapted to every shift in the car world. Diesel engines for those watching fuel costs, electric and hybrid models for the eco-conscious, and of course, the legendary GTY for anyone who wanted real performance in a practical package. The GTY, with its turbocharged engine and sharp handling, became a fixture in car magazines, video games, and enthusiast circles. You'd find Golfs in the hands of families, students, and driving enthusiasts alike, each one finding something different to love about the car. Globally, the Golf's impact is hard to overstate. It became Volkswagen's bestseller in 2002, racking up over 35 million units sold across dozens of countries. In Europe, it was the best-selling car for years, only recently giving up the crown. The Golf's straightforward design, competitive price, and adaptability made it a universal choice, whether you needed a reliable commuter or a hot hatch that could embarrass sports cars twice its price. Of course, not every chapter in the Golf story is spotless. The model was caught up in the Dieselgate emissions scandal, which hit Volkswagen's reputation and forced the industry to rethink its approach to clean technology. But even as the headlines swirled, the Golf kept evolving, adding hybrid and electric options, updating safety features, and refining its formula. Its badge has become a cultural touchstone, parodied and honored everywhere from art to advertising. The Golf's real trick is how it stays relevant without chasing fads. It's never the noisiest car in the room, but it's always there. Dependable, well-built, and just fun enough to keep you interested. For a car that started as a replacement, it's become the standard by which hatchbacks are measured. But sometimes, the vehicle that defines a country isn't a hatchback at all. Sometimes, it's something built to haul, tow, and take a beating. Something that becomes a national symbol, not just a bestseller. The Ford F-Series, the workhorse that built America's image, isn't just a truck, it's a benchmark. Since 1981, it's held the title of America's best-selling vehicle for 41 straight years and remains the world's best-selling truck for 43 years running. That kind of dominance doesn't come from flash or hype. It comes from showing up year after year and doing exactly what people need. The F-Series started in 1948 with the bonus-built pickup, designed for versatility. Ford offered everything from panel trucks to cab-over-engine models, making sure there was a version for every job. Over 14 generations, the F-Series kept evolving, sometimes adding power, sometimes more comfort, or just tweaking the suspension for a smoother ride. The promise was always the same: this truck will get the job done, whether you're on a farm, a job site, or just moving furniture on the weekend. You'll find the F-Series everywhere. Construction crews rely on it to haul equipment. Farmers use it for towing and carrying loads across rough fields. Landscapers, plumbers, and small business owners treat it like a mobile office. The F-150 became the go-to model for most, but Ford made sure there was an F-Series for every level of need, right up to the heavy-duty F-250 and F-350 for those who move serious weight. The truck's durability, towing power, and versatility turned it into a fixture of American life. The F-Series isn't just popular, it's woven into the culture. It's the background of country songs, the workhorse in countless films and TV shows, and a regular sight at county fairs and ribbon cuttings. But its celebrity status isn't about actors or politicians. The F-Series is the everyman's truck. Its reputation was built by regular folks, mechanics, business owners, families, who needed something that could handle whatever life threw at them. Ford's patriotic advertising and the truck's association with hard work and reliability helped cement its image as a symbol of American values. Of course, the F-Series hasn't escaped criticism. As the trucks got larger and more powerful, debates over fuel economy and emissions grew louder. Some call them gas guzzlers, especially as environmental standards tightened. Ford responded with hybrid and electric options like the F-150 Lightning. But the conversation about trucks and the environment isn't going away. Still, loyalty to the F-Series runs deep. Many drivers choose it because it's what their parents drove. And the cycle repeats. With over 41 million units sold, the F-Series is more than a bestseller. It's a tradition passed down through generations. It's a vehicle that's always ready, always capable, and always present in the moments that matter, whether that's hauling lumber or just getting the groceries home. But what happens when the formula for success isn't about muscle, size, or horsepower? Sometimes, the quietest car on the road ends up making the biggest impact, simply by being everywhere and doing the basics better than anyone else. The Toyota Corolla, the undefeated champion of the everyday, is a global phenomenon that redefines what it means to be a bestseller. Since its debut in 1966, the Corolla has sold over 50 million units worldwide, more than any other car in history. You'll find it everywhere, on city streets, rural roads, campus parking lots, and in endless airport rideshare lines. Toyota's approach has always been straightforward. Build a car that delivers what drivers actually need: dependability, efficiency, and a price that makes sense for most people. The Corolla's formula is simple and honest, and that's exactly why it works. What sets the Corolla apart isn't a flashy design or headline-grabbing performance. It's the car you buy when you want to get from A to B with no drama. Over 12 generations, the Corolla has evolved, adopting new safety features, better fuel efficiency, and the latest tech. But it's never lost sight of its core mission. Each generation keeps things familiar, easy to drive, easy to maintain, and built to last. People come back to the Corolla because it's a car they can trust to do its job, day in and day out, without surprises. The Corolla's success isn't limited to one country or region. Its reputation for reliability and value has made it a favorite from Tokyo to Toronto to Nairobi. Toyota's global manufacturing network ensures there's always a steady supply, and the car's reasonable price keeps it accessible for a wide range of drivers. The base model is affordable enough for first-time buyers, yet it still offers the durability and features that families and commuters want. The Corolla isn't about making a statement, it's about making life easier. Critics sometimes call the Corolla bland, and it rarely gets the spotlight in movies or TV shows. You won't see celebrities bragging about their Corollas, and politicians aren't using them to make a point. But while trendier cars chase attention, the Corolla quietly racks up sales and keeps its owners happy. It's the car that's always there, blending into the background, doing exactly what it promises. Even when recalls or minor controversies pop up, the Corolla's reputation for reliability and low maintenance keeps buyers coming back. The real story of the Corolla is about understanding what most people want from a car. Not everyone is looking for excitement or luxury. Most buyers just want something that works, something that gets them where they need to go, doesn't cost a fortune to run, and won't leave them stranded. The Corolla proves that durability and predictability are what matter most to millions of drivers around the world. That's the legacy of the Corolla, a car that wins by doing the basics better than anyone else, year after year. And when you look at the cars that have truly changed history, sometimes it's the quietest ones that leave the biggest mark. Take a look at the cars we pass every day. Sedans, hatchbacks, and workhorses blending into traffic. These aren't just background noise. They've shaped how we move, how we work, and even how we imagine daily life. From propaganda pieces to family staples to cult favorites, these bestsellers prove that history is often made by vehicles that simply get the job done. Next time you see a so-called boring car, remember, it might have carried millions through decades of change. What's your car story? Drop it in the comments. Maybe yours is more legendary than you think. And if you're curious about more hidden automotive legends, hit subscribe and stick around.